All right, y'all, what is up and welcome back. So today we got a viral video that's been going around lately of three people eating at a black owned business, a restaurant in Chicago, seafood restaurant. They ordered an expensive platter of lobster, shrimp, etc. And what did they do? Dine and dash. They literally ran off the patio as soon as they got done eating. And I'm going to play this clip for you so we can talk about this. Let's get it.
Surveillance cameras caught three people leaving without paying a $200 bill for a shrimp and lobster dinner, according to the owners.
The young lady who was serving their table, she got kids at home. She gets a percentage of that tip. She worked hard to serve their table. They had a lot of food. It's actually disappointing. It's very disappointing to see that from the community that we actually serve, because we pour into our community. We're a small business, and I see this happening so often to a lot of different small businesses throughout the city.
Evening surveillance camera.
All right, and I just gotta say, this is so sad on so many levels. This is a black-owned business, and we got black patrons. And the fact of the matter is, this is a small black-owned business. This is not some huge corporation. This is not Steak and Shake. This is not Cheesecake Factory. This is not Red Lobster. This is not Nobu. This is an independent, non-franchise, black-owned business located in Chicago. And these people don't have huge profit margins. If you know anything about small independent businesses, you know that they struggle with profit margins more than huge corporations. Why? Because they don't have those connections for those lower prices. A lot of them, they don't outsource what they get locally grown stuff. They don't outsource it from different states and different countries like these large corporations do. So this is especially sad in that sense, because a $200 tab is a lot for that restaurant. That's actually a big hit, not to mention the big hit to the waitress. I don't know if you guys have ever known a waitress or ever done a waitress or waiter job, but they don't make anything, guys. They don't make anything. I mean, they make around, I think, what's the minimum wage for waitresses? 75 cents or something like that. That's how much they make an hour. They live off of tips. So this $200 tab, let's say they paid 10% gratuity, would have been around $20 of tips. And waitresses probably get around $100 a day in tips, which is nothing, guys, which is nothing compared to the cost of living. This was a fifth of her income for the day running out the door, not to mention the hit that the restaurant had to take for that free seafood boil that they got, which is crazy. And I hear a lot of people always talking about support black business. Yes, support black business, but oftentimes when a black business moves into a black neighborhood, this is how they are thanked. Right? This is how they're thanked. And let's say the black business moved out of the black neighborhood and went into a rich, let's say predominantly white neighborhood or Indian neighborhood or maybe even a Hispanic neighborhood, right? What would they be labeled as? You got it. They will be labeled as sellouts. They would be labeled as sellouts for moving out of the black community, which is crazy because how can you label somebody like that based off of the things that they've been through? The experience that they've had. I've known business owners that have had businesses in Decatur, Georgia, a very enriched black area, that have moved their businesses out of Decatur elsewhere because they experienced so much theft. They experienced so much disrespect. We have to, as a community, stop disrespecting businesses that are taking part in our communities. Point blank, period. And black businesses are the only way that the black populace is going to gain a leg up in society. It's through economic growth. Money talks, guys. Money talks. Okay. Money is one of the most important devices we have in our society to make change. It's not just politicians. It's not just being smart. It's having the resources, and resources is money. Now, I also watched the interview about this, and the restaurant owner said that they actually caught these people. The police department in Chicago actually caught these three people, and the people asked if they could just pay the tab and apologize. And guess what the restaurant owner did? He said, nah, you're not paying this tab. We want to press charges. We want to make an example out of you. And I totally agree. sentence them to the fullest extent. I know this probably isn't going to classify as a felony because it's under a certain amount, right? I think under $600 is misdemeanor or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But these people need to be made an example out of. I know dining and dashing seems harmless, but this hurts businesses so bad when y'all do this, guys. And you got to hold people accountable. You got to make examples out of people in order for this not to happen anymore. The community needs to make an example out of them. The Chicago community needs to make an example out of these people because it's unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable. And I want to go back and touch on this being a small corporation. When you have it's not a small corporation, a small company, because it's not even a corporation yet. But when you have a small company like this in your community, you need to go out and show support throughout everything you do. And I encourage this with everybody. If you live in a small community, if you live in a city outside of the huge city, make sure you support these small businesses, especially around this time where the economy is crazy. They need you more than you know. Okay. They're not just going to come out and beg you and say, hey, we need you guys to eat at our restaurants. But they do. A lot of these companies are threatening closure at this time because the economy is so bad. And for people to go and do this is completely unacceptable. It's bigger than $200. $200 is the price, but every single dollar counts when it comes to making money in this economy. Like I said, this isn't Olive Garden. This isn't Cheesecake Factory. This isn't a franchise. This is an independently owned restaurant. And every single dollar counts. They have to pay their chefs. They have to pay overhead. They have to pay their waitresses. They have to pay. So one thing I want us to do as a community is not normalize this type of degenerate behavior. This is something that needs to be swatted. This is something that needs to be nipped in the bud. Because if I see this happening, I just may run after the person and try to hawk them down, man. Because I hate seeing people done bad. I hate seeing people done dirty. I hate seeing people who are trying to do the right thing get done dirty, especially when it's right in front of my eyes. I hate seeing that. These guys could have put that investment towards something illegal. They could have put that investment towards something to scam people. You know what they did? They invested in a restaurant and said, you know what? We want to feed people. We want to make them happy. We want to bring some joy to our community. And it looked like a nice restaurant from what I saw. And these guys seem like stand-up guys. They seem like great restaurant owners. Now, whether or not the food is overpriced, I have no idea. I don't see their menu. So if the food is overpriced, I mean, it's just overpriced. But you don't have to eat there if it's overpriced. But one thing you shouldn't do is try to tear down someone else's success because you don't have the money. Now, like I said, I agree to press charges against these people, but I also think that they should be made an example out of. I think punitive damages should be paid. I think they should be required to pay restitution. They should be required to serve some type of time and do community service, because this happens way too often. And the fact of the matter is, this was done by black folks. This was black folks. This wasn't any other race. This was black folks. And this is one of the things that feeds all the racial stereotypes. When you go on Instagram and you start seeing people committing crimes, and then you look under the comments and it's a whole bunch of racist folks talking about some usual suspects, ashamed of nothing and offended by everything. All those little racist comments. You always see those on Instagram. And this stuff feeds the fire, guys. This stuff feeds the fire. Every single community has a small subset group of people that act like this. It's not just black people. But every time we see it on the news, who is it? It's us. And I'm tired of seeing it. So yeah, like I said, our communities need to hold people accountable for this. Bring back shame. I'm a huge believer in that phrase, bring back shame. These people need to be shamed. They need to be shamed, and they need their pockets strained. They need their pockets strained for this. And one thing this restaurant may do is start treating people differently, which I hope they don't do. I've seen a viral clip of a Chinese restaurant doing this to a group of black guys that walked in. They sat them down The guys ordered their food and they gave them the bill before they brought the food out. And they were like, hold on, what's going on? Why are you giving us the bill before the food's being brought out? And they're like, oh, this is just what we do. And they were sitting next to two other people. I think two white chicks were at a table next to them. And they were like, they didn't have to pay before they ate. Why do we have to pay before we eat? This is what restaurants are going to start doing, y'all. Keep this behavior up. No black person is going to be able to eat without paying for their food first, unless you go to a black owned restaurant. And even some of them probably going to make you pay before you eat. That's what I'm saying. This has to stop before this gets too big. The ripple effect is something that we're not going to be able to handle, because we're going to get mad. If somebody makes you pay before you eat, you're going to get mad. This ain't McDonald's. This ain't Arby's. This is a restaurant. We pay after we eat. All right. So, call to action, definitely hold your community accountable for this stuff, guys. When you see this stuff happening, call it out, especially if it's in the youth. You know, as a man that's older, when I say older, I mean 30 plus. I'm not even 40 yet, but I'm in my 30s. So when I see 20 somethings and teens doing crazy stuff out in public, sometimes I do pull them to the side and say, hey, what are you doing? You know, I used to live in some apartments, and I remember pulling a group of kids to the side, like, yo, what are y'all doing? I mean, they were like throwing rocks at cars and stuff. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Y'all gonna get hurt out here doing this. I had to give them a pep talk. And it seems like some of them understood. Some of them didn't. Of course, not all of them are going to respect you because you're a stranger, but at least make the gesture to get people in check, especially my guys out there, man. Words mean so much more coming from a man to children than they do from women, because women are kind and nurturing. Men hold that dominance, that crack the whip dominance, okay? They respect the words that you say a lot more for some reason, all right? That's just the way the human brain is wired. So when you see this type of behavior, pull your fellow people in your community to the side and say, hey, what's going on, man? Why are we doing this? Try to speak some truth into them. Try to speak some sense into them, because this can't continue to happen, or it's going to snowball to the way where no one's going to want to live in our communities, and it's just going to go to hell from there. All right. I always want the best for us. I always want the best for everybody in the Black, Latino, Indian, whatever race you are. I want the best for your community. Please. All right. So I want to know what y'all think about this. I know some of y'all have seen this video. Some of y'all probably haven't. But as always, if you like what you see, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.